Dao Tu and Tan Quan could not have expected that the first time they met Noyet Kwong again was because their lives were in danger. This morning, Noyet Kwong called the two of them. Because they hadn't been in contact for a long time, the two of them were very surprised when they heard Noyet Kwong on the other end of the line. Just as they were about to chat, they heard Noyet Kwong coldly say from the other end of the line, "Get a pen, write down my address, come here immediately." When Dao Tu heard this, she tactfully said that she had been quite busy recently, and that when she had time, she would come visit Noyet Kwong. Unexpectedly, the words that had just been uttered were immediately interrupted by Noyet Kwong, who shouted, "Are you tired of living? If you don't want to die today, no, now. Come here quickly." The call with Tan Quan also ended with Noyet Kwong's nameless anger. When he and Dao Tu tiredly traveled to Noyet Kwong's house, both of them had some doubts in their hearts. Entering the house, what greeted their eyes was chaos. One look, and they knew the house had not been cleaned for many days. Noyet Kwong sat leaning back on the sofa, wrapped in a large woolen blanket. Seeing the guests arrive, she did not stand up to greet them, but pointed to the 2 cups of water already poured on the table, indicating that they should drink it themselves. Then, she asked in a low voice, "Do you have any way to contact the other 3? Find them quickly and tell them to come to me." The other 3 people that Yuguang was talking about were Song Liang-yin, Xiao Fei, and Su Tianji. The 6 of them founded Night Inn, and they were all capable of writing horror novels that would make people fall in love with them after reading them. But 3 years ago, something happened that caused the website to disband. After they parted ways, they each went their separate ways and gradually lost contact with each other. As she spoke, more than half of Yuguang's face was hidden in the dim light. Compared to before, she seemed to have lost a lot of weight. They had met online before. The first time they saw Yuguang, it was 3 years after the incident. Tao Zi and Qin Guan seemed to no longer recognize her. Hearing Yuguang speak in a commanding tone, Tao Zi felt a little angry. She immediately put down the teacup in her hand. You must know, she was a reporter. This sudden and strange meeting had ruined her day's interview schedule. But seeing Yuguang with a sickly face in front of her, Tao Zi still said gently, "I only have Tong Liang-yin's cell phone number. Before coming to your house, I tried calling, but it was turned off." Yuguang looked at Qin Guan, his sharp eyes mixed with worry. He didn't know why it made Qin Guan tremble. He immediately said that he had Xiao Fei's QQ number, although there seemed to be no way to talk to her. Xiao Fei had originally been in a relationship with Su Tiangu at the nightclub, and now they probably still maintain this relationship. A wounded hand was brought out from under the wool blanket. Dao Tu saw it and was extremely surprised. He quickly asked, "Noyet Kwong, what happened to your hand? Did something bite you?" Without any response, Noyet Kwong just raised his hand to take the manuscript from the corner of the sofa and said, "You guys should read this story." Tan Quan approached and looked closely at the manuscript in Dao Tu's hand. It was a novel titled The Man Bite by Na. The title was written in large font in Word, so large that it was almost exaggerated. "Did you write that?" Although the tone was a question, Qin Guan was sure that it was a horror novel that Yuguang had written a long time ago. He knew her works like the back of his hand. The person sitting on the sofa still did not reply. Her entire face was in darkness. Dao Zi and Tan Quan were momentarily at a loss for what to do. They could only do as she said, carefully reading the words that had been hidden away for so long. "Do you have a mother? Do you live with only your mother? Does your mother love you? And you, do you love your mother? That love, do you dare prove it? I am Tien Thursday Tien Nian. Hello." That was the recent headline I put on MSN. Tien Thursday Tien Nian is the name of the female protagonist in a recent fantasy novel. She is one person, but also 2 people. After reading that book, I immediately changed the previous headline to this one. The reason is none other than wanting to make myself a little mysterious online. I am a university mathematics lecturer, and when I go to work, I always dress very stiffly. Standing on the steps of the large classroom, I pull up and down 6 small, heavy boards, using chalk to write down rows of numbers and characters that we seem to not see in the natural world. That day, it was a beautiful and windy morning. Because I stayed up and used the internet too late, I woke up a little late. Hurriedly walking on the road, The sun in the sky was a bit pale. Finally squeezed onto the bus, I let out a long breath. Crazy. A girl's shrill voice suddenly rang out from the front of the bus. The noisy chatter immediately stopped. I want to get off the bus. The girl's voice rang out again. At that moment, through the gap between the people, I saw a girl sitting in the front stand up and run straight to the car door in front. I want to get off the bus. It continued to speak in a choked voice. The bus slowly stopped, and it got off as if it was escaping danger. Everyone's eyes turned to the seat next to the girl's. The girl sitting there had very long black hair and was wearing a white t-shirt. The contrast between black and white was truly an eyesore. I recognized the girl. Her name was Truong Tuna, a student in my class. She awkwardly hunched her shoulders, looking around with a bit of fluster. Then she saw me. Her eyes stopped, suddenly flashing with a feeling of shame. Very quickly, she turned around, hiding her head inside her shoulders. What's the matter? Didn't I say it was crazy? Stay away from it. The sound of hushed conversation echoed in the car. Tuna hugged her shoulders, facing out the window. The passengers beside her tried to stay away from her. It's okay. They're all my students. There must be some conflict. Looking at that child, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I walked over and sat next to him. Tuna did not move, her face still facing out the window. As she was about to get off the bus, she suddenly turned around and looked up at me. This was the first time I saw her face clearly. Her facial features were very beautiful. She looked very pretty, but her complexion was pale, different from that of a normal person. Her eyes are very strange. When looking at others, it gives you the feeling that there's a lot of white, so much that it looks like the whole pupil is about to turn upside down. Suddenly, she grabbed my hand. Her fingers were hard and cold, causing my arm to immediately break out in goosebumps. Ms. Noyet Kwong, do you go online? Yes, I go online. Don't ever go online again. Listen to me. I only want the best for you. The cold girl used a very normal voice to say this sentence, then suddenly waved my hand away. Not waiting for me to react, she got out of the car very quickly. Good for me. I still didn't understand anything. Watching the white and blue figure hurriedly cross the street and enter the girls' school. A strange feeling arose in my heart. That feeling makes me uncomfortable all day. After class, I sat in the faculty office enjoying tea, resting, and preparing to go home. At this moment, the door suddenly opened. The math teacher walked in, followed by a student, head bowed, long hair covering half of his face, making it impossible to see his face clearly. Ring, ring, the bell rang. Several lecturers walked out of the faculty office one by one and headed towards their classrooms. At the moment when their figures were intertwined, I suddenly discovered that the girl standing in front of the instructor's desk, her back facing me, was wearing a dazzling white t-shirt. In the heat of the summer day, it emitted a dazzling cold blue-white light. It's Zhang Xiaoya again. Tuna, what's wrong with you these past few days? I've looked for you several times. Why haven't you said a word? If you have any difficulties at home, just tell me. Don't wave your arms and legs, talk nonsense, and scare the people around you. Okay? Tuna bowed her head, saying nothing. Her back was thin and bare. Look, now in the office, there's only me and your teacher. Say whatever you want to say. You shouldn't miss out on your future, right? Don't you want to take the graduate exam later? Tuna heard the teacher's words, moved, suddenly turned around, and looked at me. Does Ms. Noyet Kwong have a mother? She suddenly asked me, her voice a little hot. I have always lived in a family where only mother and son depend on each other to survive. So this question gave me a strange feeling. I was a bit stunned, my hands trembled, and half a cup of tea spilled onto my lap. Truong Tuna, where's this? This is the faculty office. Why are you asking such a strange question? Is that funny? The instructor was very unhappy to see me scared by the student. Go to class. When you have thought it through, come back to me. I took out a tissue to wipe up the spilled water. I felt a little sad because of my actions, so I smiled and said, It's okay for a little girl to ask such a strange and rare question. And besides, that question isn't really considered a question. Of course you have a mother. Who doesn't have a mother? Truong Tuna bowed her head even lower, slowly walking out of the faculty office. Is there a problem with this student? I couldn't help but ask his instructor. His classmates told me that he is mentally ill, Whenever he meets someone, he immediately asks if they have a mother, if they live with their mother. Oh, right? He only asked about a girl in his class. In my opinion, he is not old enough to grow up. He is intentionally scaring others to cause conflict. Miss Noyet Kwong, please don't pay attention to him. I hope that after this period, he feels that this is not a good thing anymore. Based on Chiu Na's current condition, our department should contact her family. I remember that after teaching that class, Chiu Na sat at the podium in the classroom. The seats around her were empty. In broad daylight, she looked like a fearless ghost sitting in the classroom. You mean we should notify his family to let him stay home from school? We actually thought so too. We have already contacted him. The class instructor nodded. Actually, my real way of doing things is to want this student to get help, I was about to say, but in the end I didn't. Letting him go home is also good, hoping that his family can help him. Stepping out of the faculty office, I adjusted my clothes and followed the corner stairs down. The stairs on this side were quite far away, so students rarely walked here. I walked out of the faculty office and just thought it was convenient, so I went down here. The bright sunlight shone into the building, creating vague images. I saw my shadow, also vague, appearing and disappearing on the wall. At this moment, the sound of chaotic footsteps suddenly rang out, accompanied by the sound of male students whispering to each other, and it spread quickly. Very quickly, male students from the basketball teams of several departments ran up from downstairs. They saw me, politely said hello to the teacher, then passed me to go upstairs. I vaguely heard that they were discussing some mental illness. Crazy, they must be talking about Zhang Xiaoya. While he was thinking, a sobbing sound came from the stairs downstairs. At first, it was as faint as the sound of flies and mosquitoes, but very quickly the sound grew louder, becoming an uncontrollable wail. I hurriedly ran down the stairs to the lower floor, only to see Zhang Xiaoya sitting on the empty stairs, hugging her school bag and crying loudly. While crying, she kept saying, "Fuck mom." Her small body shrunk like a shrimp. Her whole body seemed to have fallen into a state of paranoia that made people extremely scared. I walked towards her carefully, reaching out to comfort her, to help her calm down. But suddenly she grabbed me, reaching out her small, thin arms, hugging my legs tightly. Those arms were like an iron belt. "I need mom," I screamed intermittently. "It's okay. I'll take you home. I'll take you to see your mother. Be a good child. Listen to me. Come home to see your mother." I didn't even have time to think about how abnormal her current state was. I could only stroke her hair, try my best to comfort her. After a long while, the little girl gradually quieted down. The arms that were hugging my legs weakly dropped, and her whole body lay flat on the floor. Zhang Xiaoya's house is in a newly built small apartment complex in Qingbei. It was already dark when I took a taxi to take her home. Getting out of the taxi, I looked up at the tall building, then looked at Truong Tuna beside me. The whole way, this little girl was in a numb state, without any feeling, only saying one sentence to me. That sentence was a repetition of what she had said to me before. "You must remember, don't go online anymore." Intuitively, this child seems very conflicted. She wants me to go home with her, but she doesn't want me to see her private things. I was thinking whether to follow through with my promise to take her home or not, when suddenly she took out a small, pretty cell phone and made a phone call. "Mom, our teacher is here." Yes, she's a university teacher. She talked on the phone for a while with the other end of the line and then hung up, saying to me, "My mother hasn't been well these past few days, so it's not convenient to say goodbye to you. Please go home." Saying that, I turned around and walked into the path leading to the building. In a flash, my body seemed to be crushed by the shadow of the building. Looking after her thin figure, the desire to help her arose in my heart. So I chased after her. "Didn't you say you would take me home to meet my mother? Can a teacher who doesn't keep his word still be a teacher?" I said nothing, just bowed my head and walked straight.